Episodes like this one is what keeps me going with the One Piece anime. That Sabo versus Burgess. Oh my gosh, that Zoro versus Pica getting set up. Even Lao G's old ass. I was like, yeah, this episode came to kick ass. I'm sure it's a coincidence after all the controversy about just how people been feeling about the One Piece anime, but it was cool to get an episode like this. Let's go. So the beginning of this episode already kicks off with a bang. I mean, they're still using those fish as a plot device to show how strong everyone is and everyone's deflecting them. But in all honesty, one of the weak points of this episode, or one of the weak things for that matter in general, is Rebecca. Rebecca, yet again throughout this episode, and yeah, they left it off with a cliffhanger. She might muster up some strength somewhere in those gigantic jugs, but in all honesty, again, this episode, she's tripping around. Everyone manages to deflect the fish except her. She's running. She's scared. And then at the last second, I'm brave now. Like, bitch, please get out of here. I don't know. And the manga, I didn't have this much of a disliking of her, I guess, because I don't know. They just didn't show her that much. And she just didn't get on my nerves that much. But in the anime, I absolutely can't stand her. And she looks like freaking shit when she's just constantly getting shitted on and looking like a pathetic girl. So she just looked terrible in this episode, and I don't mean physically attractive. I mean, like, she was just, again, the weakling. But Sabo, Burgess, I mean, Sabo, like, it makes you wonder how strong Sabo is when Diamante comes out with his sword and then Sabo chops it like nothing. And then the shit with him and Burgess, I'm like, Dragon Claw, Monkey D, Dragon Claw, like, so much epicness with that one moment with him and Burgess, and just like fucking crazy shit, you know. In all honesty, the Rebecca shit, while it was like annoying and like get the fuck out of here, it didn't deteriorate the scenes, because I mean, even Bartolomeo, like, you know, reflecting the fish, everybody standing up and basically, you know, being brave and shit, but just that epic scene, I don't care. That shit just stole the entire episode. Nothing in the episode could come close to the epicness of Sabo going in against Jesus Burgess. The animation wasn't all that. The art looked real nice, especially Burgess, even though we were getting 100 more of those scenes of ultimately it was still epic as fuck. Then, while I'm not a fan of the Tontadas at all, I don't like them, they're annoying as shit. Ultimately, the scene with Lao G as well, getting to see Lao G's old ass flexing and shit, I was like, alright, Lao G, I think I get why you with the Don Quixote, this old-ass man. I didn't get the joke or whatever about the G. Like, I guess that's supposed to be like something that, you know, if you understand more about Japanese culture or the language or something, maybe you'd get, because he was like, I went down the wrong one, and like the G, it was either a horrible joke or something that I just don't understand. But him whipping ass, beating up all the Tontadas, as well as beating up Toy Soldier, I was like, this old man got some spunk, and overall it was just like another cool scene. I think one of the reasons why this episode actually stood out is because majority of the time when the One Piece anime now, it's just kind of like, you know, dragging around, things is slowly happening. But in this one, it just had so much ass-kicking action with still progressing things, because it's like with Sabo versus Burgess, getting one step closer to getting the fruit off the fish's back. Lao G versus the Tontadas and the Toy Soldier, one step closer to their goal. So that's why I feel as though this episode had more impact than majority of the other ones. Not necessarily because of the awesomeness of the action, although that is a plus, but that it was progressing things with using the action. I mean, even the past couple episodes with the Frankie stuff, I think this episode, it was less on the comedy. It still had some of that, oh, hard-boiled stuff, which, I mean, at the end of the day, Senor Pink, he is a fucking boss. Like, he is a PIMP for life. But him versus Bastille, Frankie and Bastille, I was just like, yo, you got Frankie fighting a vice admiral right now. If you think about it, that is pretty fucking sick, and that's kind of demonstrating where Frankie is at, because, I mean, he took a full-on hit from him, and he's like, oh yeah, I got you, I'm gonna get you tenfold. So I was like, hell's fucking yeah, epic fight right there going on. It just improved dramatically from the humorous and joke stuff that we've been having with Frankie for the past couple episodes. Still not the biggest fan of the new Frankie from New World, but ultimately he's kicking ass, and him against Bastille is epic, and at the same time it's still kind of keeping humor but starting to get it fresh again, because they reused jokes a couple different times, but when they were like, you gotta be very careful with him, he's a pervert like yourself, and I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with his fighting abilities? And he's a pervert, so what? And then the end of the episode, even more ass-kicking action. Yet again, like I said, the action really drove this episode. Luffy and Zoro versus Pica. Pica just fucking like a monster of stone. Of course, Zoro gets that one epic line that he always has. He has some of the best one-liners in all of One Piece. It's like, oh, don't worry, I'm gonna cut him down. I'm like, oh man, episode ending with a great cliffhanger and just really exciting and interesting episode of One Piece. It still has, you know, its little moments here and there, but for the most part, it was entertaining, it was progressive, the action was looking good, the art was good, the animation, it was alright. There was some times where it did look a little, but for the most part, it was like, this is a pretty damn good episode of One Piece, especially from some of the shit we've been having lately. This was a very good episode of One Piece. I guess one of the other scenes that I would say was probably pointless was the Kinemon scene. I mean, it was cool at the end that it seemingly he turned into Doflamingo or something, but aside from that, that was kind of a pointless scene. And again, Rebecca, just go off into the distance of irrelevancy. I mean, oh my gosh, she's hiding behind Bartholomew, like, fuck you! But with all that being said, I'm gonna give this one 8 out of 10. I feel as though this was one of those episodes of One Piece, like, we get every few weeks or a month or so, we get one really good episode of One Piece, and I think this was it. Hopefully next week can follow up and continue with the awesomeness. I'm not holding my breath, but we'll wait and see. But let me know what you thought of this episode. What was the best moment? I think by far it should be a landslide. Almost everyone saying Sabo versus Burgess, because Sabo was just looking like a beast. Hell fucking yeah. But there could be some people that they really like the Zoro stuff, his epicness at the end with Pica. Some weirdos might love the Lao G stuff. All the pervs out there might like the Frankie stuff. And you know what, those are the episode. Really enjoyable. I'm glad we got one of those because it's been a while. And yeah, but that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed, if you're hard-boiled, do so as well. That'd be awesome. I'm ForneverWorld. And as always, people, have an awesome day.